Hey guys, I'm Mark with the Ovalrcteam. Finally, we are putting together the Team GFRP RC Sprint Car Kit. This is what they call a purpose-built sprint car kit. You do have to put it together. And this is the 2021 Plus 4 Assault Car Kit. I picked it up last year at Motorama, and at that time it was $650. Now they do have a newer model out, but we're going to get this one out of the box, put it together, and show you guys how to build it. Alright, I had to stop and redo the video right here because I got something very important to tell you guys. After I pulled everything out of the box, I found out I didn't have an instruction manual. I also found out you don't get an instruction manual with the 2021 Plus 4 car kit. How do you put together a kit without an instruction manual? I had no idea. I do know you need to go to the teamgfrp.com website. Across the very top you will see Document Garage. Click on that. Halfway down the page you will see where you can download the 2023 Assault Instruction Manual. You can also download the 2024 Assault Instruction Manual and the 2026. I still needed the 2021 Instruction Manual, so at the very top of the web page, I typed in the search 2021, and at the bottom of the page it gave me where I could click on the 2021 Assault Manual, but you had to purchase it through the website. It didn't cost anything, but I had to go through the whole purchasing process. And I did. At the very end, it gave me a link where I could download the 2021 Assault Instruction Manual. So this video is based off of this manual right here if you're following along step by step. The only difference I really see between the three manuals is the steering and the chassis. But if you're like me, a new guy, and never put one of these together, it's kind of important to have the right manual. If you are building one of these assault car kits and you have a different year, you can follow along on the video, and in the manual, it's just the steps will be a little different. Moving forward, the instruction manuals do come with the newer kits. One thing you will find out that if you print off the instruction manual, that the illustrations are just not that great. You can follow along a lot easier on the web page because you can zoom in and see the parts. So ready to get started, we're going to open up bag A, step number 1. Step number 1, bag A, is installing the bulkhead to the 30-degree nose plate. Also in step 1, we're going to attach the chassis plate to the 30-degree nose plate. And you'll notice that you can offset the chassis plate. I'm going to offset my chassis to the left. Step number 2, you'll need to install the bearings into the bell cranks. Step number 3 is putting together the steering link, and you'll do that by installing the ball cup on each end of the turnbuckle. Make them even on both sides. And a turnbuckle wrench does come with the kit. Step number 4, we'll install the steering link underneath the bell cranks. The directions may vary a little bit, and you'll notice that we're using the bolts and not the ball cups. And when you're done, it will look like that. Again, the directions may vary a little bit. In step 5, it says to install a shim right here on these bolts. But we're going to move right to step 6, and we're going to install the bell crank standoffs upside down like this. Tighten them down, and it should look like that. Step number 7, we'll install our bell cranks over the standoffs. And we'll secure the bell cranks with some countersunk washers and some screws. Also in step 7, we'll install the link extensions, and they'll sit right on top of the bulkhead just like that. And after they're tightened down, they'll look just like this. Step number 8 is installing the front A-arm, and you'll do that using this pin. The pin will only slide in the A-arm one way. And you'll secure the pin with a small screw. We'll do the same thing on the other side. Step number 9 is installing the ball studs, and I'll be installing mine in the center hole. In the same place on the other side. Step number 10 is installing the front shock tower. Step 11, and we'll open up bag B. In step 11, you'll assemble the left and right steering block. First, we'll install the bearings. Then insert the axle through the bearings. Secure the axle with a screw on the end. Next, we'll install the steering arm extension. And we'll do the same on the other side. After you have them together, they should look like that. Step number 12, we'll put together the 2 spindles, and you will need the 2 0-degree inserts and the 4 bushings. Be careful not to use the wrong inserts because you do have 2 0-degree inserts. You also have 2 5-degree inserts and the 2 10-degree inserts. The 5s and the 10s are marked right here. The 0-degree inserts have no markings on them. Slide the bushings right into the spindles, but be careful they don't fall out. And you'll do the same thing for the other side. Step number 13, you're going to install the steering block into the caster block, making sure that this area right here is facing forward. The same on the other side. And we had the 0-degree insert in the caster block, and the same on the other side. And a bolt on the bottom. This is what the left side will look like when you're all done. And they both should look like this after you have them together. Step number 14, you're going to attach the caster block to the A-arm by using this pin. Slide the pin through the A-arm and the caster block just like that. The pin only goes in one way, and you'll secure it by installing the screw right next to the pin. And you'll do the same thing on the other side. In step number 15, I'll be installing the battery brackets and strap. I'll be installing it in this hole right here, this hole here, and this one right here. And when I flip the chassis over, you can see where I had the brackets mounted. Step number 16 and 17, we're going to install the servo brackets to the servo using the countersunk washers and screws. And we'll fasten it to these holes right here in the chassis. Step number 17, I'll be installing the Quasi Speed Low Profile 25T servo horn. That does not come with the kit. Neither does the servo. You will need to purchase that separately. Before we move on, we'll move the steering link from the bottom of the bell cranks to the top of the bell cranks, and I'll explain why in a later step. Step number 18, we'll assemble the steering link that goes from the servo horn to the bell crank. In step number 19, we'll install the spacer on top of the bell crank. In step number 20, we'll install the steering link from the bell crank to the servo horn. With the steering link installed, you can see it sits at a bit of an angle, but it leaves us plenty of room for our battery. Step number 21, we'll assemble the 2 camber links using a ball cup on each end and the 2.25 turnbuckle. Step number 22, we'll install the front camber links. And this is what it looks like with the camber links installed on the car, and you will see this slash right here on each of the camber links. and that's on the left-hand side. That's because if I pull the wrench toward me when I'm adjusting the camber link, that'll shorten the camber link. When I move the wrench away from me, that'll lengthen the camber link. That's if I'm standing behind the car, and that's the same on each side. Step number 23, you'll assemble the two steering links, and you'll use a straight rod end on one end and a curved rod end on the other end and a 1.5 turnbuckle. Step number 24 will install the steering links just like I have them laid out here on each side. The straight end will go underneath the bell cranks, and the curved end will go underneath your spindle extensions. It's really a matter of what you prefer. You can see there's different Ackerman adjustments, but I'll be using the one right in the middle on the left side spindle extension. On the right side, I'll be using the second hole from the top. And after assembling everything, this is what my steering setup looks like. Step number 25, you'll open up bag C. Step number 25, we're going to mount the rear toe blocks to the chassis using these holes right here. You also notice that you have two different sets of holes in the rear toe blocks. You can either mount it toward the front of the car or toward the rear. We're going to mount the toe blocks toward the front of the car. And you also notice that you have some numbers on the toe blocks. They will face the rear of the car. Of course, it's just preference, but mounting the toe blocks toward the front of the car will give you a shorter wheelbase. Next, we'll mount this bracket right here to the chassis. Also in step number 25, we're going to install the rear shock tower, fasten it to this block right here, making sure that this side of the shock tower is on the left-hand side of the car. And when you're done with step number 25, it should look like this. Step number 26, you're going to install the rear camber link mount. You're going to do that using these holes right here. After you have it mounted, it should look like that. Step number 27, you're going to install the transmission brace, and I'll be using the rear mounting holes. Step number 28, you're going to assemble the adjustable rear arms. This piece here will be installing into the A-arm, making sure that the flat sides go inside the A-arm. May have to sand down this piece right here to make sure it moves back and forth real nice and free. And you'll install the adjustment screw into the A-arm, into that piece that slides back and forth. And install a lock nut on the end, making sure you can still turn the screw. And you'll do the same for the other side. After you're done with step number 28, the arms will look just like that. Step number 29, you're going to assemble the rest of the adjustable A-arms by setting this piece right down in place like that. You'll use this flat head screw to go in the top here and this countersunk screw to go in this hole here. On the other side, we will be installing the lock nuts. The lock nuts will fit down inside the A-arms right here. And you want to make sure that you leave these bolts loose enough that you can adjust the A-arms. After you have the adjustable A-arms assembled, they'll look like this. Step number 29, you're going to install these small screws right here, and they'll act as stops when we slide the pins into the A-arms. Step number 30, we're going to attach the A-arms to the rear toe blocks on each side, and we'll do that by inserting the pins from the back and then fasten them with a small screw. And you may need to loosen the rear shock tower so you can slide the pin into the A-arm. After you have the pins in place, then you'll fasten it with a small screw. Step number 30, you're going to install the ball studs into the rear camber link mount. When you're all done with step number 30, everything should look like this. The lock nut should be facing upward and the adjustment screw should be facing toward the rear. Step number 31, you're going to assemble the 2 rear hubs using the 4 bearings and the 2 ball cups. Next, we'll install the ball stud right in the center hole of the top of the rear bearing hub. In step 31, make sure you use the shorter ball studs. In step 30, you'll use the longer ones. Step number 32 will attach the rear hub to the rear A-arm using a pin and a retaining screw. There's 3 different ways you can mount the hub. We'll be using the bottom hole for now. And do the same for the other side. The pins may be tough to get in, just make sure they're flush on both sides. Step number 33, we're going to assemble the rear camber links using the ball cups and the 1.75 turnbuckles. Step number 34, you're going to install both the rear camber links. Step number 35, and we'll open up bag D. Step number 35, we're going to take the insert, install it into the dog bone, slide the dog bone into the axle, and we'll keep the dog bone in place by using the solid pin. And it'll look like that after you have it in place. Be careful because the pin can fall out. Step number 36, we're going to install the axles into the hubs, and that's what's going to keep the pins in place. If you keep pressure on the dog bones and the axle at the same time, that'll keep the pins from falling out. And do the same thing on the other side. Step number 37, you will need to hold the axle into place. While you take the roll pin, tap that into place, and then slide the 7mm hex over top of the axle, and you're going to tighten that down with this bolt. Step number 38, you can lightly screw on the lug nuts until you're ready to install the wheels. Step number 39, we're going to need to open up bag E. Step number 39, we're going to take these steel balls right here, set them inside this gear. We're also going to use some diff lube. You will notice this gear has 3 indents in the inside of it, and it really doesn't matter what side you put the balls in, and you will need grease to hold the balls in place because they will fall right through the holes. Step number 40, we're going to install the washer on top of the outdrives. Just like that there, you'll do the same for the other one. You will need to apply diff lube to this area right here. Step number 41, you'll be using this long bolt, this thrust bearing, and the 2 bearing washers. You'll first install the washer, and then we'll put some grease on top of the washer. Next, we'll be installing this tiny thrust bearing. You'll see these tiny washers look like a bearing race, so the bearing race will sit down over top of the ball bearings. When step 41 is all done, it will look like that. Step number 42, we're going to take this bolt, insert it through the bottom of the outdrive. We're going to take this bearing and set it right on top of the outdrive. Step number 43, we're going to take the outdrive, insert it into the gear, being careful not to knock the balls out of place inside the gear. Then we're going to take a bearing and set it right on top of the gear. And we'll set our bearing in place inside the gear. In step 44, we're going to install this out drive with the boss sticking out down through the bearings, and then we're going to install the spring and the nut. You have to be really careful at this time not to let the pressure off these out drives because the balls will come loose and you have to redo the whole thing. In step 44, this is the nut you're going to use on the other end of the out drive, and you want to have the aluminum part of the nut facing inward. When tightening the bolt, you should feel the spring compress, and after you do, you want to back out the bolt 1/8 of a turn. Do not over tighten the bolt. Step number 45, we'll insert the two bearings inside the transmission housing. Also in step 45, we'll insert the idler shaft. Step number 46, we'll insert the bearings into the gear. Step 47, we'll install the top shaft and the idler gear. Step number 48 says to lubricate the gears, install the diff assembly. The T-nut will face the left side of the car. You want to make sure that the plastic nut's facing up. Step number 49 will install the other two bearings inside the transmission case. In step number 50, you'll put the two halves together. Step number 50 will install 3 bolts to hold together the transmission in these holes right here. Step number 51, you'll install the motor plate. Also in step number 51, we'll install the slipper eliminator. Step number 52 will install the transmission onto the chassis. Step number 53 looks like we're going to be putting together the shocks, so we have to open up bag F. In step number 53, we're going to install the 3-hole pistons on top of the shock shafts. And you will need to install a small C-clip on the bottom of the shock shaft. You'll install the piston, and then you'll install another small C-clip on top. And it will look like this when you have the first one together, and you want to do that with the other 4. Step number 54 will install the shock shafts into the shock body. Step number 55 will install a shock guide. We'll install 2 O-rings, and then we'll install another shock guide per shock. If you have it installed correctly, the shock guide will fit real nice inside the shock body. If you have it installed correctly, it should look like that. And that's what your shocks will look like after step 55. Step number 56 will be installing the O-ring, the bottom cap onto the shock body. You will need to take the shock back apart in order to put the O-ring on because it does fit very tight. After you have the shock back together, then you can screw on the bottom cap. And you'll do the same with all 4 shocks. Step number 57 is when you're going to fill your shocks with oil, then install these rubber caps, and then the shock caps. For the sake of doing the video, I won't be filling my shocks with oil at this time. Step number 58, you're going to install these O-rings inside the shock adjusters. It's kind of hard to see, but they do fit down inside the adjuster. After you have the O-ring on the adjuster, then you're going to screw it onto the shock body. And this part of the adjuster will be facing downward. Also in step 58, we'll screw on the ball cups, and you can do that easily with a pair of shock pliers. Step number 59 and 60, we'll install the shock springs and the retainers. It's very easy to install the springs. Just slide the spring over the shock body, pull back on the spring, and install the retainer. Step number 61 will be installing the shock standoffs. You have two taller ones and two shorter ones. The taller ones will go up front. Standing at the back of the car on the right side of the car, we'll be installing it in the second hole down. On the left side, we'll be installing it on the second row down and the second hole over. Keep in mind I'm just following along with the directions, and the directions show to put them right in those holes there, but you can move them wherever you like. The shorter standoffs get mounted on the rear. They will face forward, and they will get mounted right in the center hole on both sides. Step number 62 will mount the ball studs and the spacers in the outer holes on each A-arm at the rear of the car. In step 63, we'll install the rear shocks. The bottom of the shocks will have the ball cups. They'll snap right into place over the ball studs. The top of the shocks, you'll secure them with a small screw. Step 64 will be installing the ball studs at the front of the car in each A-arm, and I'll be installing them in the second hole over from the outside. Step number 65 will install the front shocks just like we did the rear shocks. Step number 66, we'll need to open up bag G. Step number 66, you're going to install the front bracket. First, you're going to set two spacers in place. Put the bolts down through the spacers and tighten them up. In step 66, you will need to assemble the rear tail mount. Step 66 is the last step, and this is what it looks like after we have everything all together. Yes, this is what it looks like after you have the kit all together. It will come with a roll cage and body. Does not come with electronics, wheels, or tires, and guess what? It doesn't come with an instruction manual to tell you how to build the roll cage or the body. So if you need to know how to do that, keep watching the Ovalrc. Look for the GFRP Assault Build Part 2. I'm Mark with the Ovalrc. We'll see you next time.